It's our sport now. It's our sport now. I don't know when I'm uploading this video, but the United States hockey team just won a gold medal for the first time since 1980, and I could not be more proud of my country. I could not be more proud to be an American. Man, this is awesome. 46 years it's been. We're a hockey country now. We own hockey. Canada, I think the only thing that you can do to make up for this is win an SEC championship, which that's not going to happen. So cry about it. We'll see you guys in a couple of years for the Four Nations tournament. It's ours too. Anyways, I don't really know enough about hockey to break that game down, but Connor Hellebuyck played a heck of a game. 42 saves and just pure grit. Pure grit won that game. We were not the most talented team. We were not the best team. We were the best team, if you know what I mean. That's how we got things done. The American Hockey Brotherhood is what won us that game. We own it now. Besides from the USA hockey team winning gold medal, I have a great show for you guys today. We're going to break down my top 5 QB wide receiver duos going into the 2026 college football season. And Arkansas fans, my alumni, my proud Hog faithful, we're going to do a little temperature check on this Arkansas football team with the addition of Coach Ryan Silverfield going into the 2026 season. I'm excited. My name is PJ. This is Fourth and Everything. Let's talk some ball.
25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow.
What is going on, everyone? You ball lovers, you ball knowers. The reason you're probably watching this video is because you miss football season just like I do. And man, I think you're excited because we're going to talk about the top 5 QB wide receiver duos going into this next college football season. And I don't think we can talk about this list without putting Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin at the very top. Now, I don't think there's any debate or discussion about this. Julian Sayin, efficient as efficient gets. He had a 77% completion percentage as a year 1 starter at Ohio State. I don't think you can argue with that. He was the most efficient passer last year behind Fernando Mendoza. He threw for 3,610 yards and 32 passing touchdowns. He was a true sophomore. It was his first year as a starting quarterback. Going into the 2026 season, it's going to be his second year as a full starter, and I expect him to progress. It's only up from there. Jeremiah Smith, undisputed wide receiver 1 in all of college football. I mean, we saw him in the Rose Bowl just absolutely go off, make a name for himself back in 24. And then in the 2025 season, 87 receptions, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 14.3 yards a reception. He was 4th in college football with 1,243 yards as a true sophomore. He's going into his 3rd year. I expect him to progress. I expect him to be the best college football wide receiver yet again this next year. And he's going to be the first wide receiver taken off the board in the NFL draft in 2027. Undisputed. I don't think anyone's arguing with that. Now, Ohio State does have a new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. Personally, I'm not a fan of Arthur Smith. I think his offenses are very boring. We saw that in Atlanta. We saw that in Pittsburgh. But now Ohio State brings in another NFL coach, or at least ex-NFL coach, to run this Ohio State offense. I don't expect it to be an Arthur Smith offense. I expect it to be a Ryan Day offense. I don't expect them to run the ball nearly as much as Arthur Smith did in Pittsburgh. I expect them to utilize the passing game, and I expect him to feed Jeremiah Smith the ball. I expect Julian Sayin to progress and throw for over 3,600 yards this next season. I think he's going to be right in the Heisman conversation like he was this past year, and I think Ohio State is going to be right back in the playoff, barring their absolutely brutal schedule that they have this upcoming season. But I think they're going to be right up there. Ohio State is coming off of a top 25 total offense last year, and I don't expect them to miss a beat whenever it comes to production in the offense. That's why I'm putting Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State at the top of this list. And I don't think anyone can really argue about it. We've had a lot of turnover in these college football rosters this last year, a lot of guys moving from school to school, but the continuity is there. The production was there last year. That's why they're at the top at number 1 on this list. So we're going to move on to number 2, to a guy who is second in FBS in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's now at the Miami Hurricanes and throwing the ball to Malachi Toney. Now I've got Darian Mensah and Malachi Toney at number 2 on this list. This is when things start to get a little iffy whenever it comes to rankings. I put these guys at number 2 because Darian Mensah, 3,973 yards in passing last year. He was second in the FBS right behind Fernando Mendoza. 34 passing touchdowns, second in the FBS. He had a 66.8 completion percentage. I don't expect that to be a problem. He also has some rushing upside as well, but Malachi Toney led the nation in receptions at the end of the season. He had 99 receptions, 1,089 yards, 9 touchdowns. He was 18, guys. He was 18 years old. 18 years old in a Power 5 conference on a team that went to the national championship. That's very impressive. I expect him to be even better this next season. Another year in this Miami offense with, quite frankly, I think a better quarterback in Darian Mensah compared to Carson Beck. I expect these guys to turn up this next season in the ACC. I expect them to be a powerhouse, and I expect them to be right back in the college football playoff. Malachi Toney, he's going to be the second best wide receiver in college football behind Jeremiah Smith. Now at number 3, this might be a hot take. Stats don't lie. This is, I believe he was the second ranked quarterback in the transfer portal this last season, just moving up I-35 from Denton, Texas to Stillwater, Oklahoma. Drew Mestamaker and Wyatt Young, QB and wide receiver from North Texas, now at Oklahoma State. And Drew Mestamaker, this dude balled out last year. 4,379 pass yards, first in the FBS. He threw for 34 passing touchdowns, which was third in the FBS. Wyatt Young, this is a guy that no one's really talked about. No one really talked about him last year. Now Wyatt Young getting thrown the ball by Drew Mestamaker, 70 receptions, 1,264 yards, which was third in the FBS. 10 touchdowns, tied for 12th in the FBS. I expect these guys going into the Big 12 with the same head coach and Eric Morris to continue to produce. We know that not a lot of defenses played in the Big 12, so I expect these guys to put up numbers. I expect that football program to progress under Eric Morris, and I expect these guys to continue to put up numbers, put up production, and make their offense better in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Not to mention 18.1 yards of reception for Wyatt Young. That's some production right there on 70 receptions too. Wow. Now we are moving up north to Bloomington, Indiana for your defending 2025 national champions, the Indiana Hoosiers. How crazy to say is that? Now, the best college football coach in the country in Kirk Cignetti, defending national champion, sends off Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner, brings in QB Josh Hoover from TCU and wide receiver Nick Marsh from Michigan State. Now, Josh Hoover last year, gunslinger, dude. He threw for 3,472 yards, 16th in the FBS, but he was 8th among returning quarterbacks this upcoming season in 2026. So among quarterbacks that are coming back for the 2026 season, he ranks 8th among them in pass yards for this past season. 29 passing touchdowns. He was 9th in the FBS or 6th among returning quarterbacks for this next season. Nick Marsh. He was a true sophomore last year, going to be a true junior. 59 receptions, 662 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He led the Michigan State offense in receptions, touchdowns, and receiving yards his first 2 years in college football. As a true freshman and a true sophomore at a Power 5 school, Power 4, at Michigan State. He's bringing that production to Indiana. Indiana loses Elijah Surratt Indiana loses Omar Cooper. They bring in Nick Marsh, and I expect that plug-and-play production, I expect it to play out here in Bloomington, Indiana. So I have Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh at my number 4 spot. I don't expect Indiana to miss a beat. I think Josh Hoover is a gunslinger quarterback. I think Nick Marsh is going to fit right into that Indiana offense, and I expect them to put up just as much production as Elijah Surratt did and Omar Cooper did last year in this Indiana offense, if not better. These guys are going to pair great in this Indiana offense, and I'm excited to see them. Probably back in the college football playoff. At number 5, now I had some difficulty with this number 5 spot, but I gave it to Sam Leavitt and J.C. Brown at LSU. I know some people are like, man, Sam Leavitt is coming off of an injury. Who the heck is J.C. Brown? We have no idea what Lane Kiffin's going to look like this next year. We have no idea what this offense is going to look like. Are they going to mesh together? Why? Why are they at number 5? Why are they on this list? Well, I'll tell you. Sam Leavitt, he was the top transfer portal quarterback in this 2026 transfer portal class. Last year, he did have an injury, but he played only half the season and he had 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns. He did regress a little bit from the 2024 season when we saw Arizona State go to the playoff, play Texas, almost beat them. We saw Cam Scatterbo on that offense, but Sam Leavitt's a dog, and I think if he's healthy this next season, he's going to produce. J.C. Brown, he's a wide receiver transfer from Kansas State, led his team in receiving last year, and he had 41 receptions for 712 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 17.4 yards a reception, but I think he's an explosive wide receiver that's going to fit right into this Charlie Weis Jr. offense. In this Lane Kiffin offense, whatever you want to call it. Ole Miss last year finished top 10 in points per game. They finished 3rd in pass yards per game, and they finished 2nd in total yards per game. And I think both of these guys are going to translate very well in production from their previous schools to this LSU Charlie Weis Jr. offense this next season. Now, if you get remotely close to what this Ole Miss offense was this last year in points per game, pass yards per game, total yards per game, I know Trinidad Chambliss was quarterback. You have Sam Leavitt. I'm not going to compare the two. I think Trinidad is a better quarterback. I think most people will agree with me on that. I think if this LSU offense gets remotely close to what this Ole Miss production was last year in points per game, yards per game, and pass yards per game, this LSU offense's ceiling is going to be astronomical. I think Sam Leavitt is going to produce. I think J.C. Brown is going to produce. And I think this LSU team is going to skyrocket this next year compared to where they were this last year. Now, at number 6, I think you can interchange Sam Leavitt, J.C. Brown with these next 2 guys. I'm going to leave that up to you, but I put them at number 6 just because Arch Manning really struggled last year. But I think these guys have number 1, number 2 upside. We haven't seen these guys together, and also the production wasn't really there for Arch Manning last year, maybe until the end of the season. But Cam Coleman, the number 1 wide receiver in this last transfer portal cycle, came to Texas. He's going to be Arch Manning's wide receiver 1. He had 56 receptions for 708 yards and 5 touchdowns in a really, really bad Auburn offense last year. He had 12.6 yards of reception. Cam Coleman, he was a top recruit out of high school. Ultra talent. Same with Arch Manning. Ultra talent. We've seen his upside, his rushing upside, his passing upside. The ingredients are there. It's just a matter of if they can develop, can Sark cook up, call some good plays, can he call some good games, and can we see these 2 guys mesh this next season? Now, Arch Manning coming off of a 3,163 pass yard season. He had 26 touchdowns, which was 17th in the FBS. And he had a 61.4 completion percentage. Wasn't very efficient throwing the ball. He was pretty spotty. But I think if we see Arch Manning come along this next season, and if we see Cam Coleman come along this season right next to Arch, start calling plays, these 2 could be right at the top of this list come December. The upside's there. It's just a matter of if the guys mesh or not. Now, I know I said that the guys at 5 and 6 and Sam Leavitt and J.C. Brown and Arch Manning and Cam Coleman at Texas can be interchanged, but I know this was a top 5 list. I added some honorable mentions just because I think they're going to be fun to watch this next season. With that being said, I put an extra set of guys at number 7. Out of Houston, Connor Weigman and Amare Thomas. I think it's Amare. It's Amare. I don't know. I'm not an English teacher. I'll just call him Amare Thomas. Out of Houston. Now, these guys, Connor Weigman, he originally was at Texas A&M, transferred to Houston this last year, and we saw a good amount of production from him. 25 touchdowns, 2,700 passing yards, and he had a 65.2 completion percentage, which is fairly average, a little below average. Now, Amare Thomas, 67 receptions for 966 yards and 12 touchdowns. He had 14.4 yards a reception, and he finished 6th in the FBS in total touchdowns. And among wide receivers that are returning to college football this next season, that ranks him first in the FBS. Amare Thomas is going to be a wide receiver that people are going to be talking about come mid-season next year. And I think Connor Weigman is going to be right into the mix with him being his quarterback. These guys at Houston are going to be a great duo, and I think they're going to light the Big 12 on fire. Quite frankly, I think Houston is a team that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think come this next year, some people are going to be talking about Willie Fritz and what this Houston team is doing. And we saw Houston light it up in the transfer portal this last year. And Connor Weigman and Amare Thomas both coming back for another year together. I had to put him in here, especially with Amare Thomas's ability to score touchdowns. It's going to be fun to watch. I know where I place these guys might be a little controversial, especially with Drew Mestamaker and Wyatt Young at number 3. I know some people might think that might be a little high, but whenever a quarterback throws for over 4,300 yards, 34 passing touchdowns, and he's top 3 in those categories, along with a wide receiver with 10 touchdowns and over 1,200 yards, I had to put them in there, especially ripping out the carpet and gutting a completely new program and another year in an Eric Morris offense. I think those guys are good at number 3. If you guys have any input on this list, whether you agree, whether you disagree, I want to hear y'all's opinions on this. Drop your top 5 QB wide receiver duos going into the 2026 college football season down in the comments. DM me on the socials. Comment on the socials. I want to hear y'all's opinions. I want to hear y'all's input. And with that being said, let's jump into this next segment. For my Arkansas fans, we're going to do a little temperature check. Get that thermometer, dip it in the water, see how hot or how cold it is. How are we feeling about this next college football season for the Hogs? Man, I got to get my hat. Had to do it. My Hog faithful, my Razorback fans, my brothers, my sisters, how we feeling? Basketball season and Darius Acuff and the boys, Cal and the boys are cooking up, getting ready for March. Dave Van Horn, DVH, gearing up for another baseball season. Top 5 program every single year. Omaha Hogs, almost every single year. Football program, man. It's been rough. Take me back to 2021, 9-4 season. Sam Pittman's, I believe, second year. Bumper Pool and the boys. KJ Jefferson and the boys. AJ Green. Rocket Sanders. Take me back. Take me back, man. Take me back. 9-4 season. We thought it was up from there. We thought we were going to go to the college football playoff the next year. Nope. It's not how it worked out. Things were just downhill from there. Off of that 9-4 season against Penn State in the Outback Bowl, 2022, 6-6. 2023, 4-8. 2024, 6-6. 2025, 2-10. You know, it pains me. It pains me because growing up, I wasn't an Arkansas fan. I grew up an OU fan my whole life, hence the Baker Mayfield jersey and the flag on the wall. But I lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas for 4.5 years, and some of the best years of my life. I learned so much about the Arkansas fan base. I learned so much about the athletic program. And I learned so much about what it means to be a Razorback. And one thing that I know, and that I know deep down in my heart, is that the Arkansas fan base loves the Hogs and that the Arkansas fan base deserves so much better than what they've gotten the past several years. I think the Arkansas fan base deserves a playoff berth. I think the Arkansas fan base deserves so much more success than what we have been given the last 15 years. I really feel for my Arkansas fans. It's been rough. Arkansas family, my brothers, my sisters, I'm going to need you guys to strap in, hold someone tight, really brace yourself for these stats I'm about to share, y'all. Post the 2021 season, in 2022, we went 6-6. In that 6-6 season, we had 4 one-score losses. In 2023, 4-8. Out of those 8 losses, 6 were one-score losses. In 2024, 6-6. 3 of those 6 losses were one-score losses. In 2025, 2-10 season, 6 of those 10 losses were one-score games. That is 19 one-score losses in the last 4 years. 11 of those 19, hear me out. Lock in. 11 of those 19 losses came by 3 or fewer points. Guys, that is like unfathomable. That is unfathomable. I don't know how any college football program can go through that. The Heartbreak Hogs is a real thing. It's a real thing, and Arkansas fans go through it every single year, and we need change. Now, I'm going to play a little what-if game. And I'm going to be a little lenient in this what-if game. What if I said half of these one-score losses were won? Just half of them. Each season, take the one-score losses, cut them in half, attach a little W to the side of them, to half of them, put them to the side, put them in the win column, stick them in the win column, whatever you want to do. In 2022, if half of those one-score games were flipped into W's, in 2022, we would have been 8-4. 8-4, 8 wins. In 2023, we would have been 7-5. And I'm saying we because I'm an Arkansas alum. I love the Hogs. I have my Arkansas hat on right now. In 2023, we would have been 7-5. In 2024, we would have been 8-4. In 2025, we would have been 5-7. Would have fired Sam Pittman regardless. At least I think. The key point to this, we would have had 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years. 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years, from 2021 to 2025. 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years. Just imagine what that does to a program. Just imagine how much that would have helped recruiting. Just think of how much that would have helped the program just directionally in the way that it's been headed. 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years would have done this program numbers. I'm going to digress from that. I know there's a lot of Hog fans that share that same pain with me, that same disappointment, that same anger, frustration. And I know the front office in the Arkansas Athletic Department building hopefully feel the same way as I do. Quite frankly, I don't think people at the top really care as much. That's just my opinion. Maybe they do. I don't know. But Arkansas fans deserve better. We deserve better. We deserve a better product. We deserve a better team. We deserve better leadership, all of the things. And I think a lot of these things are fixable. Firing Sam Pittman, he's a great guy. Would love to have a beer with him. I think he'd tell you himself that his time there was done. It was time to move on. I think it was mutual. Anyways, we move along. Coaching hire this last year, post 2025 season, it was wild. We saw 4 blue bloods in LSU, Michigan, Penn State, and Florida, all hiring new coaches. Now, whenever it comes to the coaching hire, the coaching carousel, whatever you want to call it, Arkansas was competing with those schools. By no means, in a truthful manner, can you say that we can compete with those schools right now whenever it comes to hiring head coaches. Now, this comes to my opinion with the Ryan Silverfield hire. I think it was a great hire considering the landscape of the coaching carousel, the schools that were looking for head coaches. I mean, there were so many different guys that were in this carousel hire. There were so many different names that were feeding through the Arkansas program, rumored to be the next head coach of the Hogs. Eric Morris, we heard the rumors. I don't know the full backstory on that, but he's at Oklahoma State now. Alex Golish, he was also rumored. I think we were close to signing a deal with him. He went to Auburn, whether you want to admit it or not. Right now, Auburn University, the University of Auburn, whatever the heck they're called, they are a better football program than Arkansas right now. They're just a better program. It just is what it is. James Franklin, we were never going to get him. I think if all of the Northwest Arkansas donors, the Little Rock donors, if they were to pitch into the NIL fund to their full capability, we could have gotten James Franklin, but I don't think James Franklin wanted to go south of the Mason-Dixon line. I don't think he wanted to coach in the South. I think he wanted to stay right up there in the Northeast. I think that's where he belongs. I think that's where the perfect fit for him was at Virginia Tech, is what it is. Now, this is where the controversy really kicks in. I think half the fan base was really split in between Bobby Petrino and Ryan Silverfield. I think some people wanted Bobby to stay. I think some people wanted Bobby to right his wrongs whenever it came to what happened in the past. He really had the offense rolling this last year. People wanted to continue that into the 2026 season, but the Arkansas leadership decided to move in a different direction. It is what it is. We bring in Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, and some people were torn up about it. Some people were happy about it. Now, my opinion personally, I think he was a great hire considering the landscape of college football in the entirety of what the coaching carousel was. He was a big name in that coaching carousel. He was a big name in a lot of different coaching conversations for other schools, but we landed him. The Arkansas program landed this guy, and he had some good success at Memphis. Now, let's just take a look at Ryan Silverfield's resume. So he had a 68% winning percentage at Memphis. His only head coaching job ever was at Memphis for the Tigers. He had a 50-25 career record. He was 4-0 in bowls as a head coach. In 2020, he went 8-3, won the Montgomery Bowl. In 2021, he went 6-6, fell off a little bit. It is what it is. That was in 2021. In 2022, 7-6, won the First Responder Bowl. Now, in 2023, he went 10-3, won the Liberty Bowl. In 2024, he went 10-2 in the regular season, and he led Memphis to back-to-back 10-win seasons for the first time in the Memphis program history. I think that says a lot about Ryan Silverfield to be a winner at Memphis, and I think winning 10 games in college football is hard regardless of what level you're doing it at. If you're listening as an Arkansas Razorback football fan, some things that you can be excited about with the Ryan Silverfield hire is that in the last 4 seasons, Memphis has had a top 25 scoring offense every year. Ryan Silverfield is 10-8 in one-score games the last 4 seasons. And I think that's something that, like I said earlier, we have not had the past 5 years is winning in one-score games. I think that's something that we can improve in under Ryan Silverfield, and it's something to be excited about. And if you are a Hog fan listening, something that you might already know in a downside to Ryan Silverfield is that he is 12-20 against teams that are above 500, which is not very good. But I think Ryan Silverfield would tell you himself that that is something that he's not proud of and something that he plans on working on as a head coach going into this 2026 season and further on into his contract. Ryan Silverfield, I think he's a great head football coach. We have not seen him. We have not seen any sample sizes of him in the SEC. He's only coached at Memphis and Memphis only. But a coach that led his team to 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons is a coach that I will take, especially coming off of this coaching carousel that we had in 2025. Sign me up. And with new coaching hires come new coordinator hires as well. Ryan Silverfield has brought in defensive coordinator Ron Roberts and offensive coordinator Tim Cramsey to go along with this Arkansas coaching staff. Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator now for the Hogs, was the Florida co-defensive coordinator for 2024 and the Florida defensive coordinator for 2025. This Florida defense in 2025 ranked 60th in FBS in total defense, mediocre. That's something that the Hogs did not have this last season. And he was also the Auburn defensive coordinator in 2023, and they ranked 43rd in total defense. Now, that's not the goal by any means, but if you give me a 43rd ranked defense last year, the Arkansas Razorbacks are at least an 8-win football team. At least. If you gave me a 43rd ranked defense last year paired with Taylon Green in that offense from last season, sign me up all day. Sign me up all day. The offensive coordinator and Tim Cramsey, He was the Memphis offensive coordinator from 2022 and 2025. Now, this offense was very impressive. In 2025, top 25 in total offense, 411 yards a game, 32.5 points a game. And then in 2024, ranked 12th in scoring offense for the Memphis Tigers. That's something that Tim Cramsey brings to this Razorback football team. If you give me a top 50, top 40 defense, and then if you give me a top 25 offense going into the 2026 season, that's something to build off of. That's something that Arkansas fans can be proud of. That's a product that we can see and we can be like, okay, these guys can coach up some ball. They can get these players to play. Ryan Silverfield was a great hire, and I'm confident that going into the 2027 season, going into the 2028 season, we can be confident in what we have as a program. Ryan Silverfield and the coaching staff immediately hit the ground running whenever they got to Fayetteville. As soon as the transfer portal opened up, we saw players leaving. We saw players coming in. And according to On3, the average player index leaving the Arkansas football program was ranked at 65.18. And then the average player entering the program was a 68.07. All those numbers mean is that the Arkansas football team had a grade of 65.18 of players leave, and then a grade of 68.07 players come in. The Hogs ranked 7th overall in transfer portal rankings this last cycle. We acquired 21 defensive players, 18 offensive players, and 2 kickers. That's a lot of turnover for a 53-man roster. But if you were to ask me, I think the Hogs have gotten better since December of 2025, ever since Ryan Silverfield landed in Fayetteville. He brought in A.J. Hill, a redshirt freshman quarterback. He was a 4-star out of high school. Brought in Braden Fuller in the QB room. We got KJ Jackson back. There's going to be a QB battle going into fall camp. I expect it to go into fall camp. And I think the starters either going to be A.J. Hill or KJ Jackson. Both of those guys bring some juice, and both of those guys can fill right into this QB room. And I think they can be productive in this Tim Cramsey offense. If you're listening and you're an Arkansas fan, or even if you're not an Arkansas fan, what can you expect from the Hogs this year? What are your expectations? What do you want? I'll tell you what I want. Wins and losses matter. That's why Sam Pittman got fired. But what I want to see out of the Arkansas Razorbacks, I want to see a team that loves to play football. I want to see a team that wants to go out there every Saturday and compete. And I want to see a culture change in this football program. I want to see a coaching staff who wants to be there. I want to see a front office and leadership who cares about this program, who wants to see this program succeed. I want to see players who want to play for one another. And I want to see players play with some pride. Now, whenever it comes to football talk, I do expect a dip in production whenever it comes to the offensive side of the ball. It's not easy whenever you lose your star quarterback in Taylon Green, who threw for over 2,700 yards and rushed for another 800 on the ground. It's not easy to replace that type of production, especially whenever you have a new play caller, a new system, new offensive language, new play calls, new players, and you have 2 new quarterbacks, either KJ Jackson or AJ Hill at the helm come September. Things are going to be different. They're going to take some time to mesh. I expect the offense to be successful, but I don't expect it to be the same bar as to where it was in 2025. But some improvement that I do see for the Razorbacks is on the defensive side of the ball, because I don't think it can get much worse than last year. 129th in total pass defense, 129th in total defense, 425 yards a game, 34 points led up a game. It can't get much worse than that. But I mean, I expect with the new defensive coordinator hire and the new guys that we got coming in via transfer portal, I think there's going to be some improvement. Give me a top 75 defense. Give me a top 25 offense. Get things clicking. I think the Razorbacks, hopefully we see some type of improvement from last year. I don't expect a huge improvement whenever it comes to wins, but I just want to see things start to come together. I want to see guys start to play for one another. I want to see guys go out there and enjoy playing football. I want to see players play with some pride, and I want to see this Razorback program led by Ryan Silverfield start to turn some things around. The Arkansas fan base deserves it. My Hog faithful, I love you. Just hold on. Just hold on. We got to have some hope. Got to have some hope. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed the QB wide receiver duo list at the beginning of the video, if you agree with it, if you disagree with it, I want to hear what y'all's opinions are in the comment section below or on the socials. My Arkansas faithful, my Hog fans, I love you. We're in this together. I hope Ryan Silverfield and the boys get this thing turned around. My name is PJ. This is Fourth and Everything. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.